Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of May 2014, and as always, we'll kick it off with what you guys have kind of already seen. If you guys remember, earlier this month I did a video where I got a package from a buddy of mine in the UK named Raymond. He sent me a plethora of things. The thing is, I'm just going to show some of the highlights here because a lot of the items were actually stuff that was already mine. I sent it to him to either be repaired or modified in some way. And so I'll just show you some of the cool stuff. But again, if you want to see the whole video, I highly recommend doing that so you can see everything because it's a treasure trove of wonders. But yeah, first up, this is a Mega Drive Model 2. Now, this is essentially the European equivalent of what we know as the Sega Genesis in North America. Most of the world referred to it as the Mega Drive, and as you can see, the buttons are obviously red instead of black. It's a 16-bit, it says Mega Drive 2. What makes this one special, though, is that Raymond has modified it. It's region-free. He cut the plastic there so it can fit any cartridge, but additionally he also put additional software in there so that it's capable of doing any region coding, getting past any region coding. The same with this Sega CD. He repaired this, put in new fuses, new capacitors, or new fuse and new capacitors, and just went all out on it. And he also made this region-free. And the way it works is what you do is you turn the console on, you'll see like the red light, and then you hold this down, and it'll blink for a second, and then it'll switch colors, and it can do it for the U.S., Europe, or Japan, and that will determine what region it's supposed to play in, and yeah, then you get to play any region game in the world, and it's pretty awesome. It's honestly, I don't know how the hell he does it. It's like magic to me. But it's really cool. And it also supports 50 Hertz and 60 Hertz, so pretty much anywhere in the world, that's got you covered. And he also threw in Sonic CD for the Mega CD. Now, I'm not a huge Sega CD collector. I do like the Sega CD. I swear to you, Sega CD Universe, I do. But yeah, this was one game I definitely want to get my hands on, was the European copy of Sonic CD. Just because both the European copy and the Japanese copy have different music than the North American copy, and frankly, it's better music. But I don't know, I just never really was going to pull the trigger, and he just threw this in. I had no idea he was going to, so it was really cool to get that. And thank you again, Raymond, for that. He also hooked me up with this PAL Super Nintendo. Now, obviously, this looks very different from the North American Super Nintendo. It's the same body design as the Super Famicom, which is the Japanese equivalent of the Super Nintendo. I think you guys in Europe got the best deal on that. You got the best body design. It also gets to say Super Nintendo. If it weren't for basically region coding issues, it would probably be the superior version. Well, that's what this is, the superior version, because he, much like this, made it region-free. Again, if you hold reset, the light changes and it changes the region coding, and it'll support all regions. And what makes it even more amazing is you would never know that this wasn't stock, because he doesn't do anything to the console externally. All the mods are internal, so yeah, that's what makes this so special. He also, just for the hell of it, threw in a copy of Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. Now, I left in this little plastic bag because I actually don't own any other Super Nintendo game, well, PAL Super Nintendo games, and I do have the North American version of this, so I figured there was no real reason to open it. I have a cartridge adapter, so I can play North American games on this if I want to, or if I really am so inclined, I could use like a Super EverDrive, so that's really awesome. Now this, an N64. Now this has not been region modified, because he said that that's actually like nearly impossible. It already natively supports both US and Japan, but he did cut the plastic in there so that it does support Japanese cartridges without any kind of, swap method, by taking the lid off or swapping the back out of the cartridge, etc. So it does now support Japanese stuff. But what makes it really special is that he's modified it for RGB SCART support. Now, if you're not familiar, RGB SCART, prior to Component Digital, RGB SCART was the best video quality format you could get. And most consoles after the NES support it. It's a European format, so in North America we never saw it. But I swear to you, it has beautiful video quality. I've done a few videos on it. I'll link one right here. And I highly recommend looking into it if you are really interested in getting good video quality out of your consoles. But unfortunately, there was a few consoles in there, in between the NES and really I'd say prior to the Dreamcast, that didn't support it, and this was probably the most notable example, the N64. Nintendo cheaped out and didn't do it. Ironically, while it's a European format, only North American models can be modified to support it. So I sent Raymond a couple of them, he modified them and sent them back. And yeah, I've used it, and the video quality is pretty damn good. I was thinking about doing a full video of this. Would you guys want to see that? Like a comparison of, you know, I don't know exactly what I would do, but I would talk about this in more detail. So if you want to see that, let me know. He also, just for the hell of it, threw in a modified GameCube. This is called a Viper GameCube. It has a mod chip in it, so it can play burned stuff. And he also replaced the lid with this special lid that can fit full-size DVDRs, so you don't have to go out and find like mini DVDRs. I don't know if I'll get a whole lot of use out of this, but it is definitely cool to have. I guess I could try that as like a... I don't like to pirate things, but I guess it's a good way to kind of rent games. You know, if there's any game I'm kind of interested in, and maybe it's expensive, maybe I download it, try it, and then if I'm like, oh, okay, that's awesome, then I would go ahead and find a real copy of it. So it's cool to have that option. I also picked up, you guys probably saw, hopefully you saw the video on this earlier this month, Ducks 1.5 Collector's Edition. This is a really cool release, in my opinion, because it just looks awesome. And the thing that makes it special, though, is in addition to having, you know, both Ducks, it has Ducks 1.5 and a music soundtrack and so on. It also included this. This is Ducks 1.1. This is exclusive to this release. It is basically the gameplay of Ducks 1.5 with the music of Ducks 1.0. And so that's really why I supported it, because technically it's, you know, it's a new game. Yeah. So I like that, and I'm happy to have this. In addition, also for the Dreamcast, I picked up Redux Dark Matters Limited Edition. Now I had the regular edition, and I had the collector's edition, but I didn't have the limited edition, so I decided to go ahead and get that. This is probably, I would recommend this one the most, actually. Because you get both Redux Dark Matters, you get Ducks 1.5, and you get this really nice case for both of them. And this is probably the most affordable, best deal if you're into Redux and you want to try it out. So I highly recommend that. You can get both of these over at hughcast.com. Also for the Dreamcast, I got Sakura Wars 3. Now the story behind this, well, there's a little note. I'll go ahead and read this note for you. It says... Dear Adam, hope you really enjoy this game. I'm a really big fan of your channel. I've also included these cards. These are from Sakura Wars 3 for the Dreamcast. Keep on gaming, Andrew Smith. So basically the deal with this, the cards he's referring to are inside of there. The deal with this is that last month I did a video, I did PlayLoad, and I talked about a game called Siren for the PS2. And I mentioned in that video that there were 2 sequels, called Forbidden Siren 2, and Siren Blood Curse. Now, Forbidden Siren 2 and Siren Blood Curse were not released in North America, at least not physically. They had digital-only version. Now, I don't support digital, and I wanted the games. But they were released in Japan, and they were released in Europe. But I wanted the European one because I was like, well, that's going to be in English, so I'm going to try and get my hands on that. So I asked if anybody had them and was willing to trade them or sell them or whatever. And he contacted me and said, you know what, dude, I have it. I have Siren Blood Curse, and I'd be happy to hook you up with that. So he just sent it. Here it is. And so I opened it up, and inside is this, Sakura Wars 3. He gave me both of these for free, which was really awesome. You absolutely did not have to do that. And I'm sure a couple of you out there thinking, like, Adam, don't you have a complete Dreamcast collection? Why would this be of any use to you? Actually, the thing is, I do have this game, but I have, like, this big Sakura Wars box set. I don't have the standalone release, so believe it or not, this is actually something new to me. I did not have this, and it'll go right on my shelf with all my other games, which is really cool because I don't get to update those particularly often. And of course, like I said, he includes Siren Blood Curse. Now, I'm still looking for Forbidden Siren 2 for the PS2. If there's any Europeans out there who have it, who don't want it, or they want to sell it, they want to trade it, etc., hook me up, let me know, let's talk. But yeah, again, thank you to Andrew for both of those. It was really cool of you. You did not have to do that. And the cool thing, of course, about the PS3 is that it's region-free. So I got this, popped it in my PS3, it works immediately, which is really cool. I hate region coding. But yeah, moving on. I picked up 4 Game Gear games, which I'd never pick up Game Gear games because you don't really see them in the wild very often. And if you do, they're usually at like specialty game stores, and they typically are kind of expensive. In this case, I was in a bookstore of all places, and I highly recommend checking out bookstores. Not for books, but because a lot of bookstores, for some reason, a lot of people try to sell like knickknacks at bookstores, you know, like just whatever kind of junk is laying around their house. and that tends to include video games from time to time. So a lot of bookstores will surprise you because they'll have like a small video game section somewhere, and that video game section is usually filled with a lot of stuff that's cheap because they don't deal with video games, so they don't really know what they're worth. So point is, these were all $1 a piece. They were all on clearance, so I thought I'll split a 5 for these. That includes Woody Pop, X-Men, Slider, and Deep Duck Trouble with Donald Duck. So nothing like super spectacular there, but again, $1 a piece. I didn't have any of them. I thought, what the hell, I would get those. Dead Rising 2 for the Xbox 360. Now, a couple months ago, Microsoft made this their like Xbox Live Gold free game for like 2 weeks, and I downloaded it because I download the free ones just to try out the game and see if I like it, and I did. So I thought, okay, as soon as I find this for the right price, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. And Amazon dropped it down to $10, and I thought, okay, I can do with that, and I went ahead and I bought it, and here it is. I like it. I don't like it as much as Dead Rising 3. I thought Dead Rising 3 was just awesome. If you have an Xbox One and you don't have Dead Rising 3, go out and get that. You'll have a good time. I'm sure if you were going to be like, well, why did you buy it if you had it for free, the digital copy? I don't get it. Well, I don't like digital content. I don't support it, but I'm not going to deny that getting a free one isn't... It's just like a rental to me. It's a good way to try out the game and see if I really like it, and if it's worth putting actual money into. And if it is, then I would say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and buy it. I will support them for what they did. And that's the exact case with this. That's just how I enjoy my gaming. I love to have physical things. I don't enjoy digital. It's just how it is. Moving on. I am still on my quest to get a complete US Saturn collection, which, I'm chipping away at it. And first, only got a couple this month, but I got Theme Park. I got Pacific Theater of Operations 2. Warcraft 2 Dark Saga. Well, the interesting thing about this, of course, is any World of Warcraft fans out there, I believe this is technically part of that universe of events, although I'm not really into World of Warcraft, so I don't pretend to know how it might be connected. And then I got Heir of Xandor, The Legend and the Land. Nothing really special, but yeah, just cool to get a couple more games for the Sega Saturn. I'm not looking forward to having to go after some of those more expensive ones, but yeah, we'll do it one day. Moving on, I picked up a PS4 game. Now, I haven't done that since the console came out. I got Watch Dogs, as you can see. Now, why did I do this? Here's the thing. With a console generation, I typically will choose one console to kind of be my all-purpose console, where I get, I'll get the exclusive games on it, but I'll also get all the multiplats. And then with the competition consoles, I'll just get exclusives. So, for example, in the 7th generation, my console of choice was the Xbox 360. So if a game was, multiplat, I got it on the 360. But if there was a cool PS3 exclusive, I went ahead and got that too. Yeah, the last 2 generations it was Xbox with the 360 and with the original Xbox, excluding the Dreamcast, of course. But with this generation, I haven't made up my mind yet. And the reason for that is, of course, you're not going to go to the Wii U for multiplats. You're just not. That console's out automatically, unfortunately. So that just leaves the Xbox One and the PS4. And the reality of it is, I would prefer if the Xbox One was my console of choice for the generation. But I'm not delusional. I'm not a fanboy. I'm not going to sit there and be like, no, the Xbox One is just better. It's always better. Because that's not the truth. The PS4 has had a lot of better releases, and this is one of them. The reason this is better on the PS4 is that it's got exclusive content and it runs in a higher resolution. Is that like make or break the game? No. But if I'm going to pay the same amount of money, I'd kind of rather have it on the PS4. But what kills me about that is I want it for the Xbox One because I prefer things like achievements. I've always, for some stupid reason, I value achievements. I don't value trophies. I kind of like the Xbox One controller better than I do the PS4. Stuff like that, but I don't know. So I'm not saying that I'm like going, all right, PS4 is now my console of choice for this generation, because that wouldn't be true either. I think this is just going to be harder for me, because I think, this is like really first world problems, I know. But yeah, I haven't made up my mind as to what that console will be, or maybe I never will. Maybe I'm going to have to do this on a case-by-case basis, like which game is offering me better content this time, which console is doing that better, etc. So, I don't know, we'll see. But in this case, Watch Dogs, got it for the PS4. Now, the other cool thing about this game, of course, unfortunately I haven't had the time to play it. I really want to, because it takes place in Chicago, which is the other cool thing about it. Now, of course, I live in Chicago. You can see the Sears Tower right there. And you can see it, well, some, kind of mockery of it right there on the cover. So I'm very curious to see what this GTA clone basically is what it is. I'm curious to see what it's going to be like, considering I live here. I want to see how accurately mapped out it is and all that. Even though I live in a super city, which is, just a city with a massive population, there's not a whole lot of stuff that ever takes place here as far as like video games go. Movies, yes, but not so much games. So I'm curious on that basis alone, just to see what the game plays like. Now, moving on, I picked up a Mario Kart game. I think you guys all know which one. Pretty obvious. Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance. No, that wasn't obvious, but I never pick up Game Boy Advance games. I was just looking through my collection of Game Boy Advance stuff, and I realized, wow, I don't own that? I really should get that. Why do I not have that? So, yeah, this game is surprisingly not expensive now, so I just went ahead and picked it up. That's it. There was really no other special motivation. Just wanted a game for the Game Boy Advance, and that was it. And then, of course, I got the real one we were all thinking. Mario Kart 8. Now, I spent all day yesterday, at the time I make this video, playing this. This is a lot of fun. It's not perfect, though. My issue with this is basically kind of comes down to the controlling, in a sense. Now, the thing is, I hope that Nintendo updates this game to support the GameCube controller. Because, now that they theoretically are going to be releasing that adapter that supports the GameCube controller, though there's no proof yet that that's actually happening, though it probably will. I hope that they update to do this, because you either have to play this with the gamepad, which is, okay, I guess. It's a little awkward. Then the Wiimote, yuck, no, don't want to do that. Or the Pro Controller. Now, I like the Pro Controller. Here, let me grab it for you. That's the Pro Controller. I do like this controller. But I have the same issue with this controller that I do with the 360 controller, which is games that rely heavily on drifting kind of hurt to play with this controller, because you kind of have to, hold this for an awkward amount of time. I don't know, and maybe it's just me, but whenever I would play like Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing with the Xbox 360 controller, I'd play that like all day, and my fingers would really hurt. And the same thing was true of this game, because unfortunately this game relies very heavily on drifting. Now, I've played all the other Mario Karts, and I know well, not all of them, I guess. I haven't played the arcade ones, but I know you could drift in them, but they didn't seem to, like, really demand that you do it. This one kind of does. It's actually kind of hard to win races unless you do that. And that bugs me, because I didn't want to have to do that. That's why I'm hoping the GameCube controller is updated to support this, because I think that would be less physically painful on the GameCube controller. But aside from that, this game is actually really sweet, and I would highly recommend picking it up. Yeah, I do like it, although I don't know who the hell would use the motion option. I would think would make the game totally unplayable. But yeah, whatever. And finally, I got a package here that I have not opened up. This is from a guy named Keenan Little and his brother. They sent me a message and said, hey, we're a fan of your channel, and we're a fan of your work on Blame Society Films, where I shoot a show called Beer and Board Games. And we made you some stuff, and we want you to take a look at it and see if you like it. So I'm going to open this up, but I can already tell I can't do this one-handed. So I'm going to have to cut here and open this up. Sorry about that. It was really hard to take that out of there, so I decided to just take everything out and show it to you. This is, he showed me this in advance, so just so you guys know. This is a Dreamcast bracelet. Now, I'm not entirely sure how he made this. It's a lot of, like, wires. Well, I think it was him and his brother made them. And as you can see, it's like a lot of, like, I think copper wiring and some sort of silver wiring. And this is, yeah, it's just like a bracelet. So that was really cool of him. As you can see, that's just really neat. I like seeing when people get, become creative and just make cool stuff like this. Now, the other thing is, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but I work on a show called Beer and Board Games, which I mentioned earlier. And there's, in most of my videos, actually, you can see a poster of it behind me all the time. And this guy, him and his brother, man, they went all out. Look at this. This is, if you watch the show, this will make sense to you. This is basically a replica of the set of the show. There's the table that they sit at, and there's Aaron Yonda, and he's wearing a cape, which is a long recurring joke on that show. Matt Sloan, sitting there, and he's upset and he's choking. I'm assuming this is Dylan because it's got a little book, which is presumably the U.S. Constitution. I'm not sure. I think this is just supposed to be any other potential person. And they're holding, steins and mugs. And maybe this is Craig because it's a wine glass. And this is supposed to be me back here, as you can tell, because it's got a beard on it. And that's usually where I stand. And he made this other little one, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be Aaron as well. Because, again, the cape. And, wow, man, this is really neat. And, just wow. Thank you to Keenan and his brother for hooking me up with this. This is just really, really cool. I'm gonna show the rest of the guys on Beer and Board Games and see what they think of this. I'm sure they'll love it. And yeah, so that's it. That's my pickups for the month. So again, thank you to Keenan and his brother. Thank you, of course, to Andrew, and thank you to Raymond for all this really cool stuff. And as always, I'll see you guys later, and thanks for watching.